Understand the circle of fifths like you never have before. Oh yeah. This video is going to be so much fun because we're going to take the circle of fifths that we commonly know as a circle of key signatures and show how it can be used to create incredible chord progressions and understand music theory in a very visible way. So what is the circle of fifths? The circle of fifths is commonly represented as a circle of key signatures that show us what key we're in, such as C, G, D, A. Each key signature is 5 scale degrees higher than the previous key that was represented. So in the key of C, we're here, 5 scale degrees up is G. Now G, 5 scale degrees up is D. Now from here is A, and then E, and then B, and so forth. And then we jump over to the black keys. We've got F sharp, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, F, and then back to C. So this is our circle of fifths, but it's just displayed as a circle of key signatures. But what if we took this circle of fifths and instead of looking at it like a circle of key signatures, we looked at it like a circle of chords? The piano is now a circle, and now we have all these chords. So chords work in the circle of fifths because a chord is a fifth with the center note added in. So if we just add in all these center notes, we're going to see how all these 12 major chords connect on the circle of fifths. Now, just for reference, I'm going to pop a keyboard up here so that you can see which chords are represented. We have 12 unique chords because there's 12 unique starting keys. We have 5 black keys that we could start a chord on. We have 7 white keys that we could start a chord on. So if all 12 of these are represented on our circle, then we have every major chord represented on the circle of fifths. I'll just keep looping around the circle. So we have C to G to D to A to E to B, and then up to F sharp, and then D flat, and then A flat, and then E flat, and then B flat, and then F. Hallelujah. All right, so we have all 12 major chords represented on our circle. Now, how does this relate to understanding chord progressions? So traditionally, in the diatonic scale way of finding our chord progression, we would just form chords off of whatever scale degrees we have. In the key of C, everything's white. So we have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, back to C. But on the circle of fifths, we have our 1, 4, and 5 represented as the center chord, and then wing right, and then wing left. Whoa! And they connect with a note that's shared as the same note. So 1, 5, and 4, or center, right, and left. Now, let's see how this works with relative minors. So if we take every major chord's relative minor chord, we can easily do that by taking a C, you drop the top note, and then you add a minor third below, and you have your relative minor chord. Or we just know that in the key of C, its relative minor key is A minor from music theory. So we have our A minor chord, followed by G's relative minor, which is E minor, followed by D's relative minor, which is B minor. And we're going to come to see that the relative minor chords form their own little circle inside the big circle. It's just twisted so that it matches up with relative minor. So now let's go back to our circle of fifths again and look at our 3 major chords that we had and compare them with the 3 minor chords. So we have our 3 major chords, C major with G major with F major. Now C major's relative minor chord is A minor, G's relative minor is E minor, F's relative minor is D minor. Cool. Now, if we look back diatonically, we're going to find that we have included the C and the G and the F and the A minor and the E minor and the D minor. How cool is that? On the circle, any group of 3 that are so close together, you have your center, your wing right, and your wing left, and then those relative minors create your diatonic chords in any given key. This works, let's try it with A. So we have our center, our wing right, which is E or the 5 chord, our wing left, which is D or the 4 chord, and then our relative minor of A is F sharp minor, our relative minor of E is C sharp minor, and then our relative minor of D is B minor. Ha! That's awesome. Now, what about the diminished? I like to think of the diminished as the 5-7 without the root. So if we're in the key of A, our 5-7 chord is E7 because we start 5 notes up from our scale and then we play a 7 chord, hence 5-7. So there's our 5-7 chord. Now, if we were to drop the root, we're left with G sharp, B, and D, which is G sharp diminished chord. So there's where that one comes in. And you can just play it with this 5/7 chord represented. So this is a really fun way to understand chords and circle of fifths. And the best part about it is all you need to do is memorize your 12 major chords. And then you can just cruise through the circle of fifths. One exercise I like to encourage students to do is to play through the whole circle, looping from one chord to the next, and see if they can complete the whole thing and get really comfortable playing their chords. So I hope this lesson was a good introduction to the circle of fifths. And until next time.